Fast forward, you didn't come more our channel, so aha, engage politics avenue. Political stories are trying to make headlines near Jam Rania DB Akroma and Idioma. Best reset your moon writing sim. On your queen simma. Jen Mensa EC box and any 2 deputies are. A minimum any upgrade petition, Akuffo a year or Mamping, say on now when you say petition, so no move for empowerment a year, no. Now we say any binumbusa say. Na enti edeba de potepa na mami waye we na omonso e kire se anye bia krampo se obe na announce a year election results twice. That one alone is even enough for you to be sacked. And no is a loan for you to go home. What is sama hodo awunia ekoso channel no so yemon yenhwene yeko ene de ba aha gauge politics avenue that's is what jembre
rights of the citizens, some citizens, which has to do with the SAL conversation. I see it in there, which is also a good ground for which an electoral commissioner can be removed. Gross incompetence, not just incompetence, gross incompetence. And I see them demonstrate some aspect of that, and they make the claim. I think if you read through, there's a portion, there's a paragraph like that, which has to deal with gross incompetence and.
So they talk about the announcement of the election results.
Just severally. So it is some grounds that they want to demonstrate to the president that the electoral commission or the commissioner was exhibited gross incompetence in that regard. And then the last but not the least,
is that really gross incompetent, not just competent, but gross incompetent?
To announce electoral results 7 or 6 times, even if you remember, you announce election results twice, is incompetence. It's enough grounds for your removal. Because elections in this country, Kwame, and per the constitution of our land, elections are critical exercises that ought not to be seen as just any ordinary thing. Just that we as a people in 2020, Ghanaians themselves are very tolerant. I'm just wondering what would have happened if this thing has happened in any other jurisdiction. What might have happened in that particular country or state. And so it's important that some of these things are looked at critically. And so if you have an electoral commission declare results in that number of times, it brings a lot of confusion in the system. And we are grateful to God that the country did not run out of itself. I see that aspect where they want to demonstrate the aspect of misbehavior, which has to show that the electoral commission abused its resources that were allocated to it on the grounds that, I mean, it was just not competent in exercising that direct authority and supervision in its exercise all over the place. And so, like I said, I am not in a position to determine whether or not this petition would suffice. But it is all good and well if the president is minded. I'm sure by this time, whatever it is, the president might have taken the petition to the Chief Justice, which is the way to go. Procedurally, the president will have to take this petition to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice will then look at it and determine if there can be any, in fact, there's any prima facie, and then for which reason.
Doc, kindly hold on for me. Let me speak to Dr. James Kwabena Bonfe. He is the CEO for Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems. He joins me on the phone. Doc, good afternoon to you. I'm grateful for your company this afternoon.
Good afternoon, KOG, and thank you for having me.
Great. Let me have your reaction to the removal of the Chief Justice, Madam Tokono. Many have raised several concerns about the fact that this is a bad precedent that the President, John Dramani Mahama, has set, contrary to what many say is the reset agenda. Let me have your reaction.
First of all, it is an affront to our constitutional dispensation. It's a challenge to, the principle of separation of powers, and it's a bad precedent that John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, would never be forgiven for. This is something that it was initiated by him as a campaign promise, and it is obvious that the way they are going, their whole reset agenda needs a reset. They breach every step of the way laid in Article 1466 to allow the executive to enter the hallowed ground of exercising, if you like, executive authority in the judicial process to exercise some sanction or bring about, a very revered sanction of any nature or case that would be of a solemn magnitude that is irreparable by any means except than to relieve the person of his or her, a judge of the Supreme Court, or in this case, the Chief Justice for that matter. What they have done will not be applicable to a judge of the Superior Court of Judicature. So why would we do it to somebody of a higher measure, especially so against the precedent that was clearly laid by the Supreme Court in the Addo case of 2005? Except there's only one thing. President Mahama is bent on showing power at all costs because of the outcome of the 2024 general election. The Constitution is not the problem. President Mahama and his team of advisors are the problem. And let me show you why they are the problem. The recommended dismissal of Daniel Mensah as a High Court judge was sitting on President Mahama's table after 2016 in his first term. As we speak, there's every attempt to promote Daniel Mensah from the High Court to the Appeals Court. Why would anybody do this? Somebody that a Prima Facie case has been established by the Chief Justice, then a committee went into it, the Judicial Council sat on it, made their recommendation to the President that shield that or shelve it. But in this case, they have hurriedly, following the example of the late Dr. Kwabena, that there are many ways in killing a cat, they have really truncated the beautiful record of the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu. And this is a woman so far, those who have followed decisions and rulings in the Supreme Court, from the lower court up to the Supreme Court, she is reasonable advocacy as well. But hey, what we always say is that they may think that it is the individuals here who will be affected. It is the nation that will suffer.
I see. Before we come to the repercussions of this ruling or this decision by the president, first a committee was set, a Prima Facie case was established. It was the final say.
That is not true. You see, this is why I have 5 cases pending at the Supreme Court, including one in the name of census. The Attorney General, as we speak now, has failed to respond to the processes that have been set on him. And the Supreme Court said that our interlocutory applications should be denied because justice will be given at the committee hearing. Now, here is the point. The Supreme Court, the Chief Justice, on 2 different occasions, told the world that she was not being given fair treatment at the committee level. So, who established Prima Facie before the setting up of the committee? What was the Prima Facie? These were the questions that were posed and have been posed at the Supreme Court. They have not been answered. So when you start on the premise, on the point that Prima Facie was established, the committee says that they have reached a conclusion on one of the petitions. And there are 2 outstanding petitions, and they are yet to go on into them. Meanwhile, lawyer representing the Chief Justice has made it amply clear to the whole world that evidence that they put before the committee were ignored by the committee, including the travel policy of the Judicial Service. So if you say that she was given a fair hearing, why where? In Wonderland or in Accra during the funny trial without due cause to natural justice? That's unfair that we will do this to ourselves in this age and this era, given the history of our country.
What picture does it paint for our judicial system?
Well, it means that we cannot trust the judiciary, and the unfortunate part that you had two justices of the Supreme Court lead this process, and they don't want us to talk about it. Of course, and it is correct that the chairman of the committee said that their holdings, their meetings were not in secret, even though they were in confidence. And we know what happened. The chairman of the committee of experts that drafted the 1992 constitution, Nana Professor Susubribi Krobia Asante, appeared before them. He told them that the path they were on was in contravention with the spirit and the letter of the constitution that they drafted. The former chief justice, Madame Sophia Akuffo, before the committee, she told them, say, she even added that what they are putting the woman to is a policy document that their chief justices have enjoyed. So it is not something new. Justice Ani Yabua, a former chief justice, appeared before the committee to testify same. But beyond this, let's ask ourselves critical questions. How can you hold the chief justice responsible for payment that was made to her husband and her daughter by the judicial service without her direct involvement? Are you saying that if today some MPs are paid double salaries as it was done in the past, we should go and hold Speaker Bagwe responsible for controller paying MPs an amount that they received without the intervention or the knowledge of the Speaker? This is not only a bad and dangerous precedent, it is an attack on what we want to call decency and humanity.
Obviously, there are repercussions in the future. How do we correct this? Because it looks like if the opposition party assumes office someday, they will take a revenge.
First of all, I don't want us to even bring in parties to this matter. This is an attack by President of the Republic on the Constitution he swore to protect. This is an attack by a party that sponsored the President against the very Constitution that gives them life to exist and operate as a political party. It is about Ghana and not any political party, except those who are seeking to destroy the nation through what creates our governance architectural system. And that's what we should be concerned about. As far as I'm concerned, look, political parties would have their policies and all these things. But when you are given power of the state to handle, you govern decently, you govern according to law. I've shown you the bias of the president in exercising Article 140. I have shown you how he has gone beyond the law. I have shown you how in the tendency of cases at the Supreme Court, we have concluded with the AG being reluctant about it. So where are we going? All you need to do is to campaign and win elections. Once you win, you can do anything with the Constitution. Of course, we are giving reason and credence to what Hubert Humphrey said in 1965 in his small book, The Court is Mankind, that the law can be no better than the people who are called upon to obey or administer it. The law is so different from the people. Good people, the law will be good. But if you have bad people utilizing the law, they will make it a bad law. And that's why Adolf Hitler said that the law is a mere sheet of paper. And in the UK, the legal system within the UK, they say that the law is an art. It depends on who is holding it and what they do with it. So this is a dangerous precedent, and I tell you, Mr. President, he will live to regret it. Let me make this point. I'm in Kumai. One of the biggest regrets I'm sure Kwame Nkrumah had was the removal of Akuffo as Chief Justice. Even that, it was authorized quite differently by the 1960 Constitution in Article 44 and 45 of the Constitution. It gave the President the power to revoke the appointment of the Chief Justice at any point in time. It was from the experience of the 1960 Constitution other constitutions we have had, 1969, 79, and 1992, went back to the status quo ante to make sure that we isolate the justices of the Superior Court from easy and cheap executive manipulation, such that you will need a certain a certain oversight and exercise of judicial scrutiny before it is done. But look at us. We have thwarted it, and we think we have done something good.
Is there a way we can protect the judiciary? Because the Attorney General you mentioned is an appointee of the president. Obviously, whoever advises the president on legal matters is also somebody the president really is close to the president, or the president really gets.
The late Professor A.K.P. Kluge said something in his book, which was the David Duncan Memorial Lecture 2010 on the challenges of the Constitution 1962. He dealt with the issue of who Attorney General Minister of Justice they are. It is not so much coupling the position that matter, but who we appoint to go there. Look, I have made the point, and I don't need to belabor it. The law is as good as those who enforce it. Are we insistent on ensuring that there is rule of law, that there is separation of powers? I've asked two questions. Did the Chief Justice pay those monies that she is charged with for taking from the consolidated fund to herself? Did she receive the money that her husband and daughter received? What has happened to the person who paid the money to the Chief Justice's husband and wife, for which the Chief Justice is being punished? What has happened to that person? So you see, chaotic. The point is that give the dog a bad name to hang it. It's what President Mahama has done. Don't forget that he made a campaign promise that the judiciary needed a reset. And I think it is he and his thinking and how they have executed this that require a reset. The whole reset they promised requires a reset, because the path on which they are on is gradually putting this country on the edge. Have you seen what is already being reported on our system? Within 24 hours, within 1 week, when you make it look as if you don't care. And that is what I think is becoming manifest.
Right.
The president doesn't care. The repercussions of his actions and inactions, these have been respect to the Constitution. And ask those who are saying the president has breached no law, that those applications and petitions at the Supreme Court, are they without merit?
I see.
If they are not if they are without merit, why have they not been thrown out in limit?
Right. Doc, let me thank you. For the sake of time, we'll have to leave it here. I'm grateful for your time this afternoon. That's Dr. James Kwabena-Bongfe, who is the CEO, Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems. Well, he's talking about bad precedents, not just bad, but dangerous precedents. President has set. Doc.
Oh, Kwame, you see, I've always reiterated the point around your table, this particular table. What I'm saying again. The problem of we Ghanaians is the hypocrisy we demonstrate every now and then. I don't get it. Seriously. A lot of things. He's made some very good points I largely agree with. But there's some of the points that he's making, I don't get it. And I don't know how I'm going to get it. I am struggling. I don't understand. And for you to suggest that the president would regret what?
Regret the actions.
Regret what?
For sacking the Chief Justice.
For sacking the Chief Justice. You see, did the president sack the Chief Justice? The president is acting on recommendation of a statutory committee. What are we talking about? That's what I'm saying. That you see. So if that is how we are going to go, then we should understand that we should do everything without the Constitution. That is where I'm coming from, and I don't understand some of the points made by Dr. Bonfe. that the president will regret his action. And what kind of language is that?
But he's talking about precedent.
Regret what? I'm saying regret what? The man was president acted on the recommendation of a statutory committee by law. The constitution says form a committee, and when you form that committee, the 1469 states clearly, unambiguous, that the decision of the committee, the president would have to implement. And so the committee says, we have seen XYZ about this particular case, and we think that the woman is not fit to occupy or go back to the position she was occupying, and so she needs to go. And the constitution is saying that it is binding on the president. It's not like the president should have a say or should have a discretion about the recommendation of that committee. The president does not have a discretion. And the president...
We ayan sama hodo itime ko so channel no so mamna sa odi emre wa da sene so ba den dia dumbi adumia ne onia e monwura mai ne yansumo kwa sonko so kura aha GH politics avenue.